Good evening. Welcome to the Town of Dudley Planning Board meeting for Wednesday, January 24th, 2024. Present this evening, we have Daniel Edmiston, Vice Chairman, Thomas Chinaki, Clerk, Richard Clark, Member, David Durgan, Member, and William Scanlon, our Acting Town Planner, and myself, Guy Horn, Chairman. First item on our agenda is to note that the meeting is being recorded. And our second item is Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have approval of minutes from December 13th and 18th. And January 10th.
Mr. Chairman, I can make a motion that we pass, or that we approve the minutes from the December 13th Planning Board meeting as submitted.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
One abstain. I was not there.
Okay. I have 2 copies here. I'll pass them around.
You ready for another one, Mr. Chairman?
Yep, December 18th is the next one.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would move that we accept the meeting minutes for the December 18th, 2023 meeting as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I have to abstain, I was not there.
Okay, so we have another abstention. One more abstention.
You got the 18th, 18th?
That,
That's true.
no, the next one would be the January 10th.
Yep. Well, I just meant the hard copies.
Yep, they're all here.
All right. Mr. Chairman, if it's in order, I would make a motion that we accept the January 10th, 2024 meeting minutes as provided.
Okay,
I can second that.
We have a motion and a second for the January 10th.
This is the 13th. Okay, I'm gonna abstain on that one.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm going to abstain for that one. I was missing on that meeting.
Okay.
And then if I might, on the January 10th minutes,
Yep.
you notice at the top of the page, first page, there's a note that says, this copy is for ADA compliance. Original signed documents may be found in the town clerk's office. So we have been asked not to send scanned copies for placement on the webpage because it's not ADA compliant. So from now on, we will post unsigned minutes that you have approved with this note saying that they don't meet ADA compliance, but they are available for inspection if you want to see the original signatures.
No, they're not ADD compliant.
The PDF that we generate from the Word document is compliant, but once we sign it and scan it, the scanned document is no longer ADA compliant. So only the unsigned original PDFs will be put on the website once you've approved them.
Okay.
Just wanted to bring that to your attention in case you go.
Thanks for explaining that, because I wouldn't have known that one.
Interesting.
The whole website is being looked at for ADA compliance, and that's one item that came up.
Okay. And what's that acronym stand for?
Americans with Disabilities Act, for handicapped accessibility.
Okay.
Websites have to be accessible for those with disabilities,
Okay.
visual or auditory.
That one. Okay. You could probably pass that around too. All right, that takes care of all of our minutes for the last 3 meetings. A&R plans, it says we have none tonight, Bill?
Correct.
Okay. Jump down to number 3, review site plan approval decision for the Dudley Housing Authority parking improvement project and possible vote to sign.
And Mr. Chairman, we took a brief look at this last meeting, but since you were part of the approval, that you voted to approve it as well as the rest of us, I felt that you should be here to voice your opinion if you had one, to see, make sure everything was squared away.
Okay.
That way, it's the only reason we didn't pass it last time.
So, this was the project that was designed by, I believe it was Graves did it, the design, and then we hired an independent reviewer.
Yes.
And did we get a letter back from that independent reviewer?
Mhm.
And everything's in order?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I would ask if we have any representative from the Housing Authority with us this evening?
I didn't invite them.
Okay. Well, we're open anyway.
Because you approved the project, it's just a written decision that you're acting on now.
I believe one of the things that was brought up at when we last discussed this was, there's no EV charging. And as I understand it, this public housing is for people who, in some likelihood, would have some limitations. We mentioned ADA earlier in regards to PDFs, which I don't quite understand, but I would think this may be more of an issue for some of those folks as the state and the world, or the country at least, is moving towards electric vehicles.
But we don't have a bylaw that we can enforce
I
on that.
understand, we
so-
don't, but I would have thought that the Public Housing Authority would have the foresight to do something, to provide something like that for their residents, but apparently it's not part of this plan, and as such, it's just a lot of noise.
Okay, so what's?
I think though, going forward, if you see something similar to this again, I think the question with regards to the charging thing needs to be brought up, or at least somehow addressed.
Well, it may not happen until the state enforces it.
Well, it's coming. I mean, if we
So
wait for that, then we're gonna be a day late and a dollar short.
Yeah, it's 11
Everybody's gonna be, everybody will effectively be ahead of you. Why not get in front of some of these things? Because from what I understand, it's inevitable at this point.
Yeah. I don't disagree, but I mean, as of right now, we don't have anything to base a bylaw on, so.
Right? Well, we did make an attempt at one, and that
Yep.
failed.
Okay, so what's the board's pleasure? We need to take a vote to approve this plan.
And sign it.
All right. Would somebody like to make a motion for the approval of the plan for the Dudley Housing Authority parking improvements?
I'll make a motion to approve the site plan and the decision.
All right, so we have a motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Was there any conditions that we had spelled out?
Yes. The peer review recommended two conditions which we put in on page 3. The peer reviewer comment number 1, and then their comment number 5
Okay.
were conditions that they recommended, and so I put them in.
All right, thank you. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. And, we have the conditions in the approval. Anything else? Seeing nothing, let's take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
So we have 4 yeses and 1 abstention.
I have the original decision, if you could sign that, please.
Sure.
Got one copy, Bill?
Yes.
Want me to sign that as an abstain?
No.
Last page. All right, get back to our agenda. Okay, that takes us to number 4, discussion of 5-lot common driveway site plan, 126 Old Southbridge Road. Kebab Realty Trust to advise the Board of Appeals on the issuance of a special permit.
Thank you, Bill. Hi.
So I received this plan, I think about a week and a half ago, and I sent it to you. And, I was able to make a couple of copies of that plan today. So that when the applicant came tonight, you'd have it before you so that you could see what the plan entails.
Bill, by any chance, do we have the other plan that we already approved for these lots?
I have it,
Which had the two proposed driveways that we approved?
yeah, I can pull it up if you want.
Yeah,
I didn't
because
make a copy
I
of
would
it
just
today.
like to see the difference in the grade elevations between those two. Sorry, what was your name again?
Bob Kuchar.
Bob Kuchar.
Yep.
Mr. Kuchar, I'm looking at your plan that was presented by your engineer here
Yes.
from Land Planning. So it looks like you're meeting the 6% driveway grade at the first 50 feet. But after that, we're gonna be going, according to his plan, you got an elevation change of 60 feet. And basically, 1, 2, 3, 410 feet. The elevation goes up 60 feet and 410 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So in some cases, we have as steep as almost 19% grade, and it levels out a little bit to a 6% grade again, and then goes back to over a 16% grade the rest of the way.
Correct.
That's basically what's currently in place.
So when we met the last time, we were asked to see if the engineering firm could come in and adjust the front part of the grade, and then gradually get up around the corner, and widen it, and then provide access for the fire department. And land planning come up with this.
So is this making any changes to what's currently existing, or is that
Just widening it and then taking some of the grade out down below. Definitely there's some work to it to reduce to the 6% for the first 50 feet.
That's his 5% cut
Right.
that he shows in the dotted line.
Mm-hmm.
On the previous plan, Bill, did we have elevations, driveway elevations?
It might have been on sheet 2, let me see. Yes. Driveway for lot 3 and 4, and then this one is for 1 and 2.
Are we looking at anything better than what we currently see? Can you read the grades on there?
So this had the 6% grade for the first 50 feet.
Yep.
Then it got up to 17%. Leveled out, well, then declined to about 8.65%, and then
Leveled out.
leveled off up top.
How about the other one?
It had a 6% for the first 50 feet. Looks like maybe a little bit more than that. 15% grade from that point, and then 8.84%.
So based on the two plans that we've seen, it's looking like you've got a difficult situation. So I'll just say that all this board can do is make a recommendation, because we don't have the authority to
That's
grant
correct.
you the
That's
fire.
correct. I think that's what the zoning board was asking.
I mean, this isn't much, what you're proposing isn't much worse than what we approved, so, I mean, in my mind, I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but in my mind, you know, you're working with a difficult site,
It's a steep site.
yeah. So, I mean, basically, you're trying to put everything into one versus having two driveways to service, it was 5
It'd
lots.
actually be 3 driveways at that point if we did it, right? Because
Right.
the existing one remains the way it is.
And then you would put 2 more in.
Put 2 more in. So environmentally, it helps a lot, and safety-wise, you're down to 1 driveway.
Thought you were gonna wrap the driveway around to the outside to make it like a little loop for fire trucks.
I'm sorry, where?
Oh, on the original plan, you can do it, you see how it goes out there.
Down below that comes out to Old Southbridge Road, you mean?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, you mean the loop through to the other one?
Yeah.
Well, that exists in here already because they're looking for the T for the fire truck. So he pretty much drew that in there as well, off of the driveway 1.
On this new plan,
See,
I don't really see a width on the new plan. What are you proposing for the width of the
I'm sorry, for what?
the width? Oh,
The
why-
16 feet.
The note that says 16 feet.
Okay, it's in a note, yeah, 16 feet.
You talked about like a sidewalk too, remember last time you
So
were
we
here?
talked about the couple that live down below. We'll regrade down there somewhere. We'll put posts in for the mailboxes and have a little area for the kids to walk down and wait for the bus. I mean, we can do all that. It's, you know, we're in the waterfront, the river zone there as well, so we've got to make a spot for it.
So, on this new plan, can you point out to us where the kids would be walking from and to? I mean, obviously, they're going to Old Southbridge Road, but where are they?
So they would just be going down the left-hand side of the driveway there, back down to Southbridge Road. And there's an area down there where the mailboxes are already there. So I think we would just improve it and add for the additional houses up there.
Do you have enough room
Put
on?
that up on the plan?
Sure, I mean, it's, so here's the existing, I'm trying to see where,
The existing pavement.
yeah, it's beyond the driveway here, so it's just, so it would be right down along here. So it would have to follow the driveway to the left, going down here. And that's basically next to this guy's house. I'm
Where-
sorry, I don't know their names.
Where is that, what lot are they on? Are they on the lot right there, that's where the
They're
440?
right on the frontage lot there,
The 440 mark,
yes.
okay. Is there enough room, if you do a 16-foot wide driveway,
It's more than 16 down there now. It's very wide down there now, because it really flares out to go into their house.
Okay, so would you have enough room to put on that side of the driveway, like a 4-foot wide crushed stone
Yes.
walkway down to the road for
Yeah.
the kids to walk on?
We would.
You would,
Yeah,
okay.
there's plenty of room there.
No, I'm probably walking there now.
Yeah. Well, they're going down the driveway now.
Yeah.
What's pleasure? Do you want to make a recommendation, or?
I personally like the first one first. Gentlemen, because that driveway zigzags up and down that hill.
How
This
you
is
doing?
just a straight shot down. The other two zigzag.
Hi, Richard Jolder, my wife and I, we're the recipient of whatever falls off of his hill.
Okay,
I thought the last time we were here, I made a suggestion that maybe we could use the other, you had recommended 2 additional driveways, that if we used the furthest to the left, the first lot, that maybe you could take some of the curse off the hill. You could give another access to the people that live up there for emergencies, and also take away some of the traffic that's, you know, that we have to deal with. And you'll be multiplying that by, and I didn't hear, I saw the plan, I didn't see anything that discussed that additional driveway.
We didn't do anything with it. We just went,
Yeah, I thought that's what we talked about the last time, that was a possibility, and that the engineer would take a look at that.
we didn't approach that. I can tell you that. We didn't approach it. So what he's saying in the old drawing, Bill, can you bring that up? So what Mr. Joel was talking about is use the original driveway and come in, but then put this one in, which would be over for lots 3 and 4. So put this one in, have it come through like it already is, and then go over to the driveway that's before. Is that correct?
Yes, well, that's,
We didn't approach it that way, we just left. When we left, the board asked us if the engineer could take a look at fixing the grade and widening, and then Mr. Jolder had recommended that.
now, doesn't that other driveway, isn't that take some of that 19% grade out of that?
No, we just looked at what was proposed on this plan, and it's 17%.
On the one on the left?
Yeah.
How about the groundwater, or the surface water? Anything addressing that?
Well, our engineers have made a note on the drawing that we need to look at water flow. And that's made in the statement in the notes.
From where I could see, that everything that's going to be proposed up there, including the additional impervious, the driveway, that's, all that rain is going to be, all that water is going to be coming down my driveway, across the road and into my place. So, I mean, it's already, since they raised the grade on the road itself, I'm already dealing with it. I had to build a berm there already, but those last 2 rainstorms we had, I mean, there was a ton of, you know, silt and leaves and crap all from that. Well, you guys take pretty good care of that, I have to say. But I'm not sure how long you're going to be keeping that up. But anyway, there's going to be there's a lot of water coming off of that hill, and if it's all going to be channeled down that particular driveway, and you
Coming
do.
off of that hill no matter what.
Well, I know. I don't know if you have to cut a swale in somewhere, or if you can put in a retention. I know retention pond is something the state does, but something to, you know, take the curse off it. I mean, even if you cut a swale with some stone in it, maybe you could divert it, a lot of the water off to that empty lot, maybe. Just a thought. I don't know.
I'm not an engineer. I don't know whatever they're requiring, and
So, I mean, the situation is that, again, we can't, you know, we approved the first plan, so that's where it stands with this board.
Right.
That's what we approved. If you want to do something different, you need to get the special permit from the ZBA. And if, you know, if what you've got on this drawing here is what you want to do with the ZBA, whether they approve it or not, I think you're going to be somewhat responsible if this new plan that you're proposing impacts the neighbors. I mean, you can't just basically funnel all your water to the neighbor's yard and,
I agree. And it's the same thing with the new plan that you approved.
well, the new.
You gotta
plan-
watch the water flow.
The new plan that we approved has two driveways in 2 different places than where it currently is.
Zigzag up the hill.
Right.
Right, I agree.
So it would put water,
Pull that-
it would put water in different places than where it currently is. So, I mean, he knows what's coming down there now. If you make it wider and more impervious area, you're gonna have more sheet flow off of the hill.
The original So the second driveway,
And kind of exit like you did the other one. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry, I missed that.
Like exit coming this way.
Oh, you mean turn
Yeah,
it
like
towards
you
the
did
other
one
house?
too. So. we
Sure.
Have some vegetation
Yeah,
there to catch
yeah,
water.
okay. I mean, we have plenty of room down there to do whatever.
That's why I was
You know what
like,
he's saying there?
Yeah.
To
well,
take it and swirl it away from
And then you
direct
could put a
down.
swell
He's
in
talking
there.
about rolling it this way.
Into the woodland lot?
Yeah, so the recommendation, here's the existing driveway, right? What he was recommending, that we roll it this way,
Okay.
which would be crossing the front of your house rather than,
yeah, you could
Going
put a
straight
swell
into
or
the
something in
driveway.
there to catch the water.
You still have, you know, and I didn't write the bylaws, but I assume they were there for a particular reason.
There is no bylaw.
I mean, the two houses on a driveway? That's-
Why don't we,
that's-
to the, Mr. Chairman, to the planner, as far as I'm concerned, the rules, subdivision rules and regulations do not apply.
Correct.
The only thing in the town bylaws is reference to the zoning board of appeals.
Right,
So effectively, there is no bylaw. This is one of the big holes that we tried to plug at a previous town meeting and didn't get anywhere with. Quite honestly, my hackles come up when you know, common driveway. What is a common driveway? That, in my estimation, that approximates to a private street in Worcester, and you've seen the condition of some of those over the years.
Well, that was my
This would not be
concern.
accepted by the town. This is what it is. It's gonna, when it's done, after it's done, day one is as good as it's gonna get. After that, good luck. There's a big hole here in the town of Dudley dealing with these common driveways. It gets around the subdivision rules and regulations. Now, this one is 5. Why don't we make it 105 on a common driveway? I mean, there's no limit.
Well, there is.
5, where?
the
5,
zoning
10?
board of
Well, there is on this
appeals.
one, there is on this
The
one,
zoning
but
board of
someone could come in
appeals.
tomorrow and say, I want 105.
Well, if
No,
they
but-
deny him, then.
Well, then it's
Then they
all up to
deny
them,
him,
and
you
we're
know what I
tossing the
mean?
ball back to them. Right? That's all we're here to do tonight.
Pretty much.
Right.
There is a bylaw, a town bylaw, that says there's only supposed to be 2 houses on a driveway, right?
That's why you're going. to
Unless
the
you
zoning
get
board.
permission from the
Zoning board.
ZBA.
Exactly. Well, I'm just saying, they made that rule for a reason.
But
mean-
if this were a private way, or if someone were developing this as a subdivision, there are dimensional requirements, stormwater requirements.
Right.
There are specific requirements. This thing is largely off the books. And that's, you know,
Except if
as
you
as a
have to live
Dudley
with it every day.
taxpayer, you might perhaps keep that in mind going forward, because hopefully at some point we'll get another bylaw proposed at town meeting.
Yeah. We tried it twice.
My next
Well,
life.
third time's a charm.
So I'm just gonna ask the board, do we wanna make a recommendation to the ZBA, or do we wanna just throw the ball back at the airport? I mean, the applicant has something on paper at least.
Mr. Chairman, I'm pretty much in 100% agreement with Mr. Clark on this. Just the grades here, the lack of any kind of stormwater system in here. But if we do swales at the end of the road or at the end of the driveway, there's a possibility of the big rain, you've got water that's gonna find its way down to that one driveway. They're all hard surfaces. You're gonna have possible road washout. I see all kinds of sediment coming down here. I see all kinds of problems with it, but to what everybody's talking about, this isn't a matter for the zoning board of appeals. This isn't our jurisdiction. The plan has been approved. I think that we do make recommendations. I would voice the recommendations about stormwater, that we recommend that they look into the management of stormwater. I don't know how much further we can go. And as far as the driveway, what's the common driveway or the cul-de-sac? What's the limit on that? 650 feet?
600, I think.
600?
Yeah.
Because these are right in the limit of 600 feet. The lower one going towards that one house, plan south, is probably about 520 or so. The other one's close to 600 feet. So maybe make a recommendation about the length, being no more than 600 feet. And then as far as the number of houses they're concerned, I mean, that's for them. I mean, I don't think that 5 is a common driveway, but I'm not on the zoning board of appeals, so. My recommendation.
Bergen?
I was fine with the original plan that we approved.
Yeah,
You know,
I mean,
access to the 2 access points. It's basically a
Yeah,
road
like
that
the
we're
first
putting in,
one,
you know?
like how does-
Well, it's 2 access points, you have a road,
Yeah.
a private road, and this is kind of a mix between the two.
I was gonna say the same thing. What we approved the first time, to me, seems, even though it's, I understand what you're saying about the impact and everything, but I think it's a better plan than trying to funnel it all into one.
Yeah, me too.
I agree.
So, that's my opinion.
I agree with
And that's
that.
what we approved,
Okay.
so. Anything else,
I
Mr.
think
Clark?
I've made myself.
Okay.
No, thank you.
So we got three,
Clarify where the access road would be, then besides the original one, where would the other one be?
Right next to it.
yeah, so if you go back to the, Joe, can you put up the original
first
plan that we
slide, yeah.
approved?
If I may, Mr. Chairman, I mean, if it's got 1 road or 2 road, in my opinion, we have the same issues. We have the issue with stormwater.
Yep.
And we have the issue with the grade.
That's the first.
Regardless of 1 or 2, if Mr. Coker, sorry,
Kuchar.
Mr. Kuchar decides if he would rather do the 1 driveway, I don't have a major problem with it. I would just like to see the stormwater addressed in some way, shape, or form. Be it that, have some kind of a swale detention pond halfway down, where you just kept the runoff from the lower driveway go into the street, or, I mean, there's ways that it can be managed in some way, shape, or form. I'm assuming you have an engineer that you're working with that can help you try to figure out exactly how to do it. That would be my recommendation, but I don't necessarily need both driveways. I think it's gonna be the same issue either way.
So you have the comments from the whole board, and I believe we have a member of the ZBA here tonight, so he's heard it.
I wanted some clarification, because I haven't seen this plan.
Okay.
Other than when it's flashing up there on the screen, and I'm still trying to figure out exactly what we're talking about here. Because there's a lot of reference to the plan as you originally approved. The A&R you guys originally approved showed the existing driveway and 2 additional driveways being built to accommodate all of these houses.
That's this one.
Yep.
Now it sounds like we're going back to what the applicant originally came to the ZBA with. 1 driveway, or what are you widening the existing driveway?
Yes,
So, but it's still gonna be just 1 driveway?
it would
to
be one
service.
driveway, right?
Okay, all right, so I'll be able to make that clear to the rest of the board members that the applicant now is seeking, how many houses?
There would be 4
4 new and the existing.
4 lots up there and then the existing,
So the applicant is requesting for 1 common driveway to serve 5 houses.
correct.
And the only modification he's making is
Width.
widening it. Because the original plan already showed that the first, whatever feet was at the 6%
Right.
grade, so
Mhm.
that's no change. Okay,
All right,
But Mr. Kuchar, you'd work in that situation where you'd have this, talking about doing something with the water coming down.
Oh, okay, that's better than.
This is the one that's new. No, that's
well,
the one.
That's a new.
Yeah, I just wrote in, that's where, well, your other driveway. If you did put the other driveway there, I mean, it seems to me you could, it is gonna be going downhill a little bit on that side.
Oh, yeah.
You're gonna be splitting the water flow, at least, I would think at least in half, depending on how the driveways are,
Well, if it depends, the board was you're gonna make a recommendation to stay with, let me get this right, you're gonna make a recommendation to ZBA that you like the original plan you approved.
we didn't make it, we gave you our individual recommendations. We had
Okay,
three,
so
Yeah,
you're-
kinda like what I said. If you
Three-
like, follow that line,
Yeah,
like S it,
so
coming
three,
down, you know what I mean?
yeah.
You're talking the second
Yeah,
driveway?
like zigzag it down on the second plan, then this.
Oh, you mean that instead of having to go straight, move it around a little?
Yeah, move it around to run,
and-
what the
and
hill.
And Mr. Edmiston's,
This
you
way
know,
your slope would be a lot better too.
saying that you need to get your engineer involved to try to.
Well, I did. They went over and did the engineering on this and they re-scoped everything, they figured out the 6%. I mean, they weren't at the meeting, so I couldn't, you know, it's like third hand sending them off to
Right.
do something for me, right?
Can they, you know, can they can they look at this new plan that you're gonna present to the ZBA, and can they give you, in engineering terms, could they come up with something on that plan, add to that plan for the stormwater runoff and drainage that you can present to the ZBA, so you can say, look, I have an engineered plan here, and they're saying that this is gonna take care of it, because right now I don't see that on there.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, I believe the note says that it needs to be looked at or
Right.
at some point, but no indication of what it is they're going to
When.
even be looking at.
Yeah, when or how they're gonna do it, you know, you have to handle this so that it doesn't affect the neighbors, basically.
Agreed, I understand that.
Yep.
So, Bill, I'm a little bit confused. The zoning board of appeals asked us for recommendation. Are we giving 5 recommendations per each planner, or are we giving 1 for the board?
You can do whatever you want. There's no,
I think it only makes sense to give 1 recommendation from the board. Am I wrong on this, guys?
Okay,
or-
so what recommendation would you like to give?
If he goes back and talks to land planning and does something
I
different.
mean, for me, right now, we have an engineered plan that's showing grading. It's not showing anything with stormwater,
Right.
right? So you gotta have utilities. It's not showing anything with utilities. So to me, the big point would be the stormwater. How is it gonna get managed? And the requirement should be that stormwater from the 5 sites do not impact the road, the main public way.
Or
So
the-
all the stormwater should be dealt with on those sites.
On the site.
Right.
correct, Yep.
That should be the requirement that the engineer follows, and the engineer can find the most economical, the best way to do that. That would be my recommendation as part of the board. As
Okay.
far as the rest of it, the driveways, which ones, that's,
Your property is across the public way.
Yes.
So if their property was shedding water across that public way to affect your property, it's already gone too far. It shouldn't affect the public way, is what you're
shouldn't
saying.
even go on the public way, in my opinion.
Right, right. Okay.
Well, I mean, it has. I mean, you get 4 inches of rain at one time, gravity prevails.
Right.
But anyway, I was just saying that the additional driveway would divert and give the groundwater, the surface water, an extra opportunity to be absorbed into the land. If you had 2 driveways instead of that 1 driveway where all the other driveways were tied
There's
in.
many ways it could be done. I mean,
No,
you
I'm
have a
just
single
saying.
driveway, you could have 3 different trench drains in it, all leading to different spill-out areas with headwaters and everything. And there's ways to do it. Engineers know a lot better ways than I do.
Well, I didn't, except they didn't really show much.
Not yet.
They took 5 feet off the
Well, they have it,
first
yeah.
50 feet.
But it's just a matter, an engineer can only do so much. I mean, he's
Yeah.
not gonna give us a complete plan, spend $50,000 on it to find out that we want it some other way. I mean, there's a process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so far, we followed the first step of the process. We're getting the grading done to show that it meets the bylaws there. And now board recommendations and then zoning board recommendations would be added into it. And then that would be the total engineering package. So I think we're just the first step of the way there.
So can we agree that for a recommendation to the ZBA, are we saying that he can take the 1 driveway proposal and modify it to give it better drainage? And
I'm
that's-
okay with that.
And that's acceptable, or should we go back to the 2 driveways? What's the board's pleasure?
You're looking for a motion, Mr. Chairman?
I'm looking for something that we can all agree on, so we can make 1 recommendation to the ZBA.
Well, I may be speaking out of turn, but I'm not sure that we're going to all agree on anything at this point.
Well, 3 of us have to, right? 3 of us have to agree.
So, yeah.
When you say 2 driveways, you really mean 3 driveways, right? The original plan.
The original plan was adding 2 driveways, yeah, so it would be a total of 3.
We're talking about 3 total driveways. So your choices are, he goes with the original plan as approved by the planning board, the original A&R, which shows 3 total driveways, at which point he doesn't need to come before ZBA because it's already been approved by
Right.
the planning board.
Correct.
Option number 2 is he comes back to us with what he showed here tonight, which essentially is modifying 1 existing driveway to accommodate 5 houses, which, without the proper drainage, as they have concerns with, I think it's a hard sell. I'm only 1 member of the ZBA. I know I would be no at that point.
So our recommendations for the drainage, to put drainage in there.
Right, but I'm not gonna, it's not gonna be one of these, here's our plan, doesn't show it,
Yeah.
just approve it.
You need
We'll
to show
fix
it
later
before you give it to
as a
those
note.
guys.
It's gotta be engineered.
Yeah, Brian call up Tom, Tom will explain it.
I just tell them to shoot that slope down the side. Really, the easiest way to do that, then your slope grades are gonna be completely.
Well, the third one
off.
was,
I'm not sure that I explained to Brian
Brian's
exactly
place.
what's being discussed now. I mean, he did put on here the note about stormwater,
Yeah. I've
right?
seen
He
that.
did, it is on here.
Yeah.
And I'm naive, because this is my first go-around ever doing this, okay? I was expecting that we would go present this, the board's recommendation, and then go back to the ZBA, and then they would say, well, this might work if everybody's looking at it.
X,
And
Y,
say,
and
but you need to make this, we'd like to see better drainage, or,
Right.
that's being naive on my part.
I think if you wanna go that route, if I was in your situation, I would bring your engineer to the ZBA, just so that he can state to them what could be done, or what can't be done, and then put it on once the ZBA's happy, and you know what they want, then you can put it on the plan, and then go back and submit it, and probably get your
I
approval.
guess I would suggest that the applicant contact the conservation agent, who is also the stormwater management agent in the town, for what the Conservation Commission would like to see in terms of a stormwater management plan.
Okay.
And then work through the Conservation Commission on that issue.
No, you're gonna file DEP on this? Because you're in river?
Well, I don't know, we probably would, right? It's within the,
Yeah. In that
Within the
river
buffer
frontage
zone.
area.
yeah.
So, yeah, you're gonna probably wanna, at some point in
You're
time,
gonna
to
have
go
to
to
go to
conservation
conservation.
anyways. Maybe you're better off going there before you go back to the ZBA and see if you can get all the details worked out. Otherwise, you just go with the original plan that we approved.
Right, and put the driveways in.
It's up to you.
I felt kind of bad for the couple that was in front of it, where the driveway's going down on both sides of their house. And again, you're not gonna please everybody, so it is what it is. I'm not gonna, by the time I get done doing retentions and engineers and doing all this, I might as well put my 2 driveways in and be done with it. I mean, I was just looking at it from an environmental,
Yeah.
and you have 1 driveway going onto the public way instead of 3 driveways going onto the public way. The safety part of that, I'm sure if you have 1 driveway, is a lot less than 3. So that's the only reason I took it.
But the other thing you get, I mean, the zoning law in the town of Dudley does allow 2 driveway cuts per lot, so I mean,
I
you're well within that, so.
Right there, right there.
I just want to say, I think it's commendable thinking big picture,
No.
about the less curb cuts into a road, less possibilities of accidents, whatever else. I like that, I really appreciate that. Unfortunately, the path forward might not be as easy for you.
Sure.
Which is unfortunate, but hats off to you for thinking like
Well.
that.
We figured we'd try. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next item on our agenda, discussion with Mike Cheeto about changing the name of Jean Street.
Hi, guys. Bill, thank you for having me tonight.
So what do you want to change the name to?
I'm not sure about a name yet. What I'm here for is, they were built in the early 70s. I've owned them from early to mid 80s till today. I was kind of looking for pros and cons of what it entails, protocol, or what it entails to change a name, stuff like that. Just wetting my feet basically at this point.
How many units are on the street,
There are 16 units, 4 buildings,
and you own them all?
and I own them, unfortunately.
They all have mailing addresses, like mailboxes.
They do. I have, about 15, 20 years ago, the town of Dudley, or the postal service, I guess, gave me a cluster box of like 20 slots. So I put that up on Jean Street, about 20 feet in to the driveway, but they all have their own address, yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, we do have the state law that applies in this situation.
Okay,
It's under
Chapter 85.
new business, right after the,
You have people residing in these buildings at present?
I do.
Are they aware that you're looking to change the name of their
At
address?
this point, no. I'm just here, like I said, just to wet my feet at this point. Can it be done? Can it not be done? Protocols, stuff like that.
so in new business, you see the written decision, and then you see the plan of Keene Street, and then right after that is the state law.
I'm trying to get there. Okay, so-
So the state law says that the selectmen have the authority to change the name of a street, of a private street.
I noticed the gentleman's making notes. This is Chapter 85, Section 3B, the Mass General Law.
There, you want it?
You may want to refer to this.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
The planner, well, okay, there you have a copy there.
Okay.
The law seems to indicate that reason to change the name of a private street is if it is similar to the name of another street that would confuse public safety people from, finding the right address. So, I'm not sure whether that's the only reason you can change it, but that's certainly what this statute covers.
I mean, those streets' names get changed all the time. Yonke Way got changed, you got Martin Luther King drives all over the place. I'm trying to figure out the issues.
No, it can be done. I just thought,
I thought it was.
correct me if I'm wrong, Laura, but I thought in the past when we changed names on streets that it was done at the town meeting.
It was.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, because I remember like when we did McQuaid Street, and we did, I'm trying to think of the other one, was it Causeway Shores? or Ba-
Causeway Road and Causeway Shores, and there were several different
Yeah,
names
a
for
lot-
the same.
A lot of it was because it was confusing for public safety.
Right, we got a
There
fit,
were attempts that were made, for instance, like Mill Street and Mill Road, but that one didn't go through. But it was usually for the police and the fire and 911 to make it easy,
Yeah.
yeah.
And this is a private way, right?
Yes, it is. I'm sorry, was I supposed to speak? I'm sorry, yes.
So if town's not plowing it, town's not taking care of it, what does the town care?
Yeah, I always thought if it was a private way, the private way owner could decide what he wants to call it.
Well, administratively, the tax records in the town are made out to residents that live on Jean Street. Town clerk, residential list, so there would need to be some administrative changes made in the town hall. The people whose addresses are being changed have work to do in terms of notifying all of their utilities and others of their new address.
The whole UPS, Amazon,
There's a
trying
requirement
to
to-
figure out what's gonna get delivered to who or
Right.
where or when.
Requirement to record it at the registry of deeds, I believe, so
There's, there's no town water or town sewer there, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so I mean, like utilities would be electric and cable,
Phone,
cable
cable.
TV, yeah. But I mean, in some cases today, people don't even have telephones. They just have cell phones, so.
Guy, if I could, second, there was an issue when you brought up Causeway Shores, and it's, I can't remember right now if it's the road, but it was owned by Jerry Frank.
Yes.
Private way, and he tried to get that changed, through the town for years, and it kept going back to him saying, it's a private way. Basically, you can call it whatever you want.
That's how I always
That's my
understood
memory
it.
of it, but then I don't know if he ever made any changes.
Changes.
'Cause I know Bonner Road was changed from Dorothy Circle to Bonner Road.
A part of that conversation with regards to Mr. Frank's property, I think, was the assessor was very much involved in that conversation for whatever reason, I'm not entirely certain, but.
Well, they do house numbering.
Right, so she was concerned, I guess that may have been the issue there, but.
But in this particular situation, you have 4 buildings with 4 units in each building, right?
Yeah.
correct, but I do have, there are like, I don't know, I get like 10, 12 tax bills, so it's parceled out. A lot of my tax bills come in as Old Southbridge Road as well.
So you
Okay,
must
I don't know
have,
if that has any bearing, but I'm just.
if that's the case, then you have vacant lots that you're paying
Yeah.
taxes on.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, or frontage on
Mr.
those
Chairman,
roads.
what is the benefit of changing it to Jean Street?
Changing it from Jean Street?
Well, it says, okay, changing the name of Jean Street. I'm sorry, what is the benefit?
You know, just a personal thing. I've owned them for 45 years, and my wife and I, we're proud of them, and I just feel
It
that
was
it's.
named after the previous owner's wife, which was fine, and we've had him for 45 years, so he just says, maybe we can change it. But no real reason, just
Okay.
wondering.
So then, I mean, I think if they want to change it, they have a right to, they could do it, but don't they have to go to the Board of Selectmen?
They do.
Yeah.
Okay.
It came due because the board approved the subdivision with the name of Jean Street. So,
What year was that? 19 what?
plan, page 68.
Yeah, 68.
Okay, I was one. That was, I think that's the year the planning board actually started in Dudley, if I remember right. Wasn't it 1968?
Zoning
I
bylaw.
know
Right,
the
planning
zoning
board.
laws were redone in 69.
Okay.
So you're right, the selectmen have the authority. You don't have to do anything, or you could, submit a report to the selectmen on the matter if you wanted to.
I don't know, just go talk to the selectmen at their meeting.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Maybe they can
because
send it to
it's,
legalized counsel and see if they have.
I think because it's a private way, I can't imagine why they would say no.
Okay, so selectmen is who you should go see?
Yeah.
And who would that be?
So you'd want to get on the selectmen's agenda, you need to see Michelle, she's the assistant town administrator.
Town administrator.
Yeah, see Michelle and ask her to get you put onto the Board of Selectmen's agenda, and then just basically make your presentation that you would like, you own this street, this development on this street was approved in 1968, and it was approved with the developer's wife's name, and you'd like to change the name of the street to something different, and yeah, I don't think they would.
Kinda like what you did here.
2, 3, 4.
Yeah, since this has come before us for the only reason that we approved the name 175 years ago, why can't the planning board just simply say that we have no, submit to the Board of Selectmen that we have no objections?
Yeah.
That would be my
You want to take a vote?
Mr. Chairman, I make a recommendation that we submit a response to the Board of Selectmen that we have no objections to this name change.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous?
That
So-
doesn't mean you get it.
You know, it's something that, it's not that I bought 5 years ago or to buy and
actually
sell, you know,
40, not
it
45.
becomes a part of you. So I just kind of want to express that back to myself.
Maybe.
Well, I do think, though, that there might be some confusion in terms of the people living there, as far as, there's gonna be a little rough patch when the
I
UPS
agree.
truck
Yes.
is
There's probably some
looking for
kind of
something that's
time
not
frame you
there.
have to give them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll work with that. I got no problems at all.
Okay.
All right, so next is to go see Michelle. I think she was,
Yeah, right up,
Yeah.
okay.
off the elevator.
I spoke with her a few times, okay.
Yeah, and according to this plan that we got here from the town planner, there's actually 11 lots in that development.
That's what I said,
So
about
that's
a
why-
dozen, yeah.
That's why you
yeah.
get so many tax bills.
Right,
I
right.
mean, you might want to talk to the assessor at some point and ask if it makes sense to combine these. Would it be less taxes?
You know,
or-
I threw that back and forth over the last 40 years with Ann Durwood. If any of you guys recall, I'm sure some of you do, and she told me, go ahead, and I'm like, should I, shouldn't I? And I just
If it
felt,
cuts down the taxes, why not?
it doesn't cut down the taxes. Does it make the taxes cheaper after 45 years, I'm
Let's
asking?
find out.
It might,
It probably would.
Oh, really?
it might.
Anyways, it is what it is.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm sure a lot of them are not buildable, size-wise, are they? I'm not sure.
What's the acreage out there right now? What's the zone out there? Is it Res 87?
I can check.
It's not on this thing.
lot size, it looks like it'd be a res 15, doesn't it?
I think that's what it was originally, yeah, because
Oh.
they're all about 14 to 20,000 square
But
feet.
that might have changed since 1968.
You own that large tract in the middle too, that
Correct.
says
Yes.
1.88 acres, almost 2 acres?
The whole of Jean Street and Old Southbridge Road is approximately 7, plus or minus, in my recollection. I'm
I
not
mean, you could probably, I mean, if you were looking to put more units, you could probably have an engineer look at that and,
I got enough.
okay. Yeah, there's probably some space there that you could probably add another building or maybe 2 if you wanted to.
Yeah. The next people.
And the reason why you get the tax bills from Southbridge Road is some of your lots do abut Southbridge Road. The other ones abut old Southbridge Road.
No, the Southbridge Road one is, that's on a property on 55 Southbridge Road that I own. So that was I own 2 parcels there as well.
Okay,
So that's separate.
That's owned Res 43.
43. Yeah, so you would have enough if you wanted to put more units.
No, I'm done.
It's up to you. Okay,
Thank you.
yep, you're welcome.
Okay, so that's my next step, is to go see Michelle and take it from there.
Yep.
Okay, guys, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Okay, next on our agenda, annual update of adult marijuana establishment, 35 to 37 Chase Ave, invited.
Yeah, I had invited Mr. Adamopoulos. By the time I published the agenda, he hadn't gotten back to me, but then he did afterwards. So he's not able to make the meeting tonight, but said he would come to a meeting in February.
Okay, so you'll put them on the agenda for February? All right, that's it.
I believe, Mr. Chairman, I recall you'd mentioned that there's a large police sign, I believe, in front of the property.
Yeah.
I have pictures of that. It's definitely there. It'll be interesting to see what finally comes to pass in terms of that building. It looks like their business plan has changed dramatically
sign was
from what
it?
originally
For the
was.
Yeah, I came back to work.
All right, so the next one on our agenda,
Wondering that too, what they're gonna do with that.
Country View Estates, Eisenhower Drive, use of escrow funds for sewer pump station repairs, recommendation to the Board of Selectmen. So I know you sent me out a email on this, and you had talked with town administrator.
Yes. So
So-
the sewer commission is very concerned about the status of the sewer pump station there.
Yep.
It doesn't meet the town's spec or the ability of the sewer commission to accept that pump station as it currently exists. They're afraid that pumps will fail. There's not adequate means to raise the pumps out of the pit, which means people have to go down into the pit to make any repairs. So the plan is to put in a rail system to raise the pumps up and I think modify the pumps if necessary and do some electrical work. We have about a little over $10,000 left in escrow. And we would like to take the money in escrow to make these improvements so that if the pump does fail, at least the sewer commission would be able to go in and make the repair. So we've gotten two quotes for you, one from Patriot Pump for $2,962.50, from Cat's Pump for $4,772, which comes to $7,734.50. There's also a need to have an electrician, but we don't have a price for that because
I put the second
it's
one
not
under
known
invoices.
what the actual cost would be until the electrician gets in
Where
there.
is that?
Under invoices,
Under
the second one.
invoices,
Patriot Pump.
Patriot Pump, yeah.
Yep, there it is.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So, the sewer superintendent told me that he thought that might be around $2,000, so we're looking in the neighborhood of, $10,000 to make the repairs, which is about what we have.
Mhm.
So the town adopted a paragraph in section 81U of the subdivision control law, which says that the Board of Selectmen can expend money from the escrow account if necessary to make improvements in the subdivision. So that's the matter before you, whether you would recommend to the selectmen that we use the funds that are available to make the improvements to the pump station. Then it'll be up to the selectmen to actually hire these people to do the work and oversee the work in the pump station, probably through the Water and Sewer Commission, under their
Guidance.
oversight.
Yep. The only question I had is, do we know, we've had a couple of snowstorms since the beginning of the winter. Has anybody plowed Eisenhower Drive, or are people calling the town and asking for the town to plow them out? We don't know?
I don't know.
Okay.
You know, we've discussed this situation at several meetings, and
Yeah.
the developer has not really been willing to,
Yeah.
Well, I do think, Mr. Chairman, as I think is characterized by the planner, this is obviously a benefit to the residents. Should something go wrong, they're going to suffer the consequences, and definitely right in their front yards. Again, absent any activity on the part of the gentleman whose name was, well, Mr. Haiti, right? Right. I think it's a no-brainer, frankly. I mean, get this done now, before there's a crisis or a problem, and I think at some point, the residents will have to start looking at the betterment process in terms of getting that
And
accepted.
that was gonna be my next question. Could we ask the residents, could we send a letter to the residents on that street and ask them to come in and explain to them what the situation is, so that they understand it and know that, you know, they may have to contribute altogether to, because I mean, basically what we have left to do there, as far as I know, is we have to do the as-built plan and, you know, obviously get the utilities signed off, water and sewer and all of that. But if this is gonna take care of the water and sewer part, but there's gonna be no money left for the as-built plan, then the residents would have to come up with the money for the as-built plan, and then we could get the ball rolling to get it accepted at town meeting next year. But we gotta see if, I mean, the good thing is, there's a lot of houses on that street. I think there's probably 14 or 15 houses there. So it wouldn't be a huge expense for that many houses to contribute to get the road accepted. And then it would be plowed, because I don't know if it's being plowed right now or not. So,
I didn't think you could touch somebody else's escrow account without their permission.
What's that, Tom?
I thought you couldn't touch anybody's escrow account without their permission.
oh,
But with
we've
this-
done it in the past for catch basins that have fallen in
With
on,
the default on it, though.
But there is this provision which allows the town to take the money for a specific purpose.
From what I understand, in terms of our ability to communicate with the gentleman, getting his permission is probably not
Yeah, but
very
if
likely.
the
I mean,
pump
getting him to
station-
respond to anything
If the
isn't
pump
very
station
likely.
fails, then we fix it and send him the bill. Why touch the account? Right?
Well, the
If he
town-
doesn't pay it, then you take him 30 days to
I
court.
think there's an old
Look,
adage, something
Mr.
about an ounce
Durgan
of
went-
prevention is worth a pound of
Mr.
cure.
Durgan went
If you
to
take care of the
chicken
problem
court
before it's a problem,
after 30
you
days
don't
of
have to worry
getting
about
fines
it.
and not paying them. Right? 30 days. They sent you a fine, you didn't pay, you went to court 30 days
Well, I
later,
empathize
right?
with Mr. Durgan
It's
and all
kind
his
of like the
problems.
same thing
But I
here.
think we're dealing with a situation specifically here.
Yeah, but
that-
what
that
happens
we
if you
have a
go
way
over?
of remedy.
What happens if you go over Clark? Then who's picking up the tab?
Well,
You?
we'll pass the hat.
Well, pass your wallet up.
I know the
I'm
Water
sure
and
the
Sewer
town will
Commission
love
is
to take
very
it.
anxious to get this work done before a major problem arises. So.
Oh, I agree, but
If you want to,
It's kind of like letting them
invite
walk
residents
away
and take
and not
another,
having any money left.
take another 6 weeks or something to work this through, that's, you know.
I don't necessarily, I don't think we need to get the permission from the residents. I think we just need to let the residents know what the situation is. That we have a, you know, basically, the subdivision is, as it is, the covenant's lapsed. The road's in existence, but the developer's not taking care of it. That, you know, at this
That's
point.
why somebody should send them a bill every time they plow. And you watch how fast they'll start plowing these roads.
Yeah, we're talking about 15 different things, and on the agenda is a pump.
Yeah.
Let's take care of the pump and then solve the problems of the world afterwards, would be my recommendation.
Okay,
Amen.
all right. so
Mr.
what-
Chairman, I make a recommendation I make a motion that we make a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen to use the funds from the covenant, for the escrow account, to pay the
I'm sorry,
Patriot,
could you
whatever.
repeat that, please? I was distracted. You're making a motion?
I am. I am making a motion that we make a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen to pay for these repairs based on these 2 invoices to the pump station on Eisenhower Drive.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
I,
Is that 4-1?
Yeah, 4-1.
We got 4-1.
Who
Mr.
seconded it?
I did.
Mr. Clark seconded it. Mr. Chacony, you're abstaining?
yeah.
Okay. All
And that's
right,
because you think we should be billing the guy first.
Yeah, without a doubt. And what happens if you go over that estimated, because you have no electrical quote yet? So this could be way up.
well, that's when we have,
You
that's
know,
why we
then
have to
where
notify
does the
the,
money come from?
that's why we have to notify the
Taxpayers.
abutters of what the situation is, because I don't think people who live there know what the
Yeah, but you
situation
only have a
is.
real quote.
To address Tom's concerns here, is it possible to do both? Is it possible to make a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen to use the
Not to
escrow,
exceed?
but at the same time, to write a letter to whoever the owner is and telling him, sending him the bill for this amount?
Yeah, you don't show up, you don't pay
And
a
then if
bill,
he
you go
doesn't
to
pay,
court.
then to
You
Tom's
default.
point, he's a default, and we can take
Yeah,
legal
then he
action
has to
then.
show financials.
Did you want
He's
to put
gonna
some
like
not
that.
to exceed language in there so that we're not going, as Mr. Chinaki is so rightfully cognizant of, we don't want to go over the limit, over what's there, because then if,
Well, no, I
God
think you
forbid,
should
we won't
send them
pass
the
the
bill.
hat.
I'm
and we're left-
assuming
the
that
town will be left
it's
with
going
it.
to exceed, just because it's the way construction always is.
Yeah.
And I would make a recommendation that the sewer board pick up the rest of it.
Yeah.
They're anxious to get the things done.
All right, does that change the nature of the motion then? Or are we voting on the
I think
motion?
Motion's been accepted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
But, I mean, as, I don't know what the proper legal jargon would be here, if this would be a add-on or whatever, it's just gonna be a question, can we send the developer a bill for this amount?
Yeah, of course you can.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Bill, we've had little to no contact with this gentleman.
Yeah, but he has
over
to
a
show up
period
to
of years.
court, Mr. Clark, and
Well,
then he has to show
hasn't
his
shown up here
financials saying he
for
has money
anything
to pay it.
despite requests, and I think
The judge
registered
will be
mail.
like, "No, you have
Didn't
money,
we
you have an
exactly-
account, go."
If I may,
Okay.
Mr. Shackey, I think we actually had, didn't we have something delivered by a deputy or somewhere along the way at some point on this?
Constable?
We've been trying to get in touch with him for quite a while, and he's really not cooperating.
Yeah, but once you send them a bill, you gotta show up.
I mean,
Your faith in the power of bills is amazing.
Yeah, because
There are
if you-
any number
Mr.
of people
Clark,
out
if you
here
don't show
who
up-
don't pay their bills.
If you don't show up to court, you automatically lose.
I don't think he gives a cotton damn right.
Well, if it
I'm sorry
affects
for the
his
language,
credit
but
and
he's,
his
over the
financials.
years, and this has been years of trying to get in touch with this and get a
Well,
response.
it's
from this
just not
gentleman.
being done
So-
right.
We're moving on.
You got it, Bill, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And if we could get a letter to the people who live on the street, maybe it doesn't have to be for February, but for March or something like that, just so that we can explain the situation to them and what the betterment can do for them versus
This is
not the
gonna be at the
betterment.
selectmen's meeting for approval.
Yeah, won't that be a selectman thing, the betterment?
Yeah, it has to go through the,
Well, everything, approval of this would.
Right, but I think,
but that's the only process that is available to them to get this accepted.
but I think it's up to us to explain to the residents what's going on.
So the selectmen would have to authorize the expenditure of the funds
Correct,
for the sewer pump station.
right. Okay, and after that, discussion of short-term rental bylaw options, number 8. This was regarding the presentation that we had Central Mass Regional Planning make to the Board of Selectmen on the
Correct.
Airbnbs. And this is under the yellow tab zoning. So is this the draft bylaw that Central Mass Regional Planning's already come up with?
Yes, they drafted two bylaws for a town to consider. One is a zoning bylaw, and the other is a general bylaw.
Yeah.
So it's up to, and during the selectmen's meeting, the selectmen referred it to the planning board to carry the ball on this and to develop a bylaw and bring it back to them for review.
Right, and if I remember right, there was two different ways you could you could have the bylaw, you could have a town bylaw or the zoning bylaw, but one of them gave you the advantage of being able to permit it through the town and also collect an additional tax for the town.
Yes, so both of them do that,
They both do.
yes.
Okay.
One is requiring special permit through zoning and identifying districts where they would be allowed or not allowed. If you felt there were certain districts where they shouldn't be permitted, then you could exclude them from those districts under zoning. And you could require a special permit for them, or a site plan review, or some approval process that would, I think there was consensus that the residents should be notified.
The abutters.
Right, the abutters of a public hearing,
So
so that they could-
basically the 500-foot rule around the
Right.
property.
So that's one way. The other way is the general bylaw would establish a license process, similar to a used car license or a liquor license, under the jurisdiction of the Board of Selectmen. And anybody who wanted to do a short-term rental would need to have inspections done by the fire, police, highway, Board of Health, regarding the condition of the property, and any code violations would need to be corrected before it would get to the selectmen for approval of the license. So there'd be an application fee to the selectmen, which would cover those inspection costs. And then there'd probably be an annual renewal, in case there were issues that came up, the selectmen could address them at the time of renewal.
So are both bylaws here, the zoning bylaw
Yes.
and the town bylaw?
Yes.
Okay. And do you have a recommendation on which is better?
Well, I think the general bylaws is a better way to go. Under zoning, any existing short-term rental would be grandfathered. Under a general bylaw, everybody would have to come into compliance with the terms of this bylaw. You could give them 6 months or something like that to come into compliance. So they would have to get their inspections done and then be subject to the annual renewal process at that point.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I'm not mistaken, I believe there indicated that 6 are presently in.
6.
In
In
place
Dudley,
in Dudley
yeah. Yes.
currently. So if we didn't opt for the general bylaw, those 6 would be just as they are.
Correct.
Right. So the general bylaw would be the only way of getting the inspections and the things that you've indicated as might be advantageous to anybody who wants to rent the property
Right.
in place.
I'm definitely in favor of the general bylaw avenue. This makes most sense for me.
Yeah.
Okay, so
You weren't here for that.
I was here for the presentation from Central
Yeah.
Mass Regional Planning. Yeah.
Was it Jane?
Yes.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, I would hate to see us have to go through site plan reviews for somebody wanting to put a shed in their backyard and that has running water and a bathroom in it.
Right.
So, yeah,
So if you like, I can work from the general bylaw
yeah.
and make changes to it and bring it back to you.
So,
I'm sure I'll have some questions about how
Yeah.
to handle certain things.
You can edit it up as best you can for what you know now, and then
Right.
we can bring it back and have a look at it, and
Yes.
then once we get it to a point where we think it's good enough, we can go to the Board of Selectmen with it.
Yes.
Okay. That
It'll be on
sounds
the warrant probably for the annual town meeting in May.
in May. Okay.
Thank you.
One thing I would add, though, is to have the assessor go in and inspect, make sure everything's on the same, that it's on the same card. You know,
Good
the
point,
building permit, whatever the card is, I can't remember what it is right now. She can go with the smoke detectors, and the fire department does that, like she does now.
That's a good point, because a lot of times people might have made improvements that the assessors don't know about.
Yeah, exactly.
So this would be a way to, make sure we get the full value of the
Yeah,
property.
you're getting taxed on a single-family home, and you got a two-family home that you're renting out.
Making money on.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to standard business discussion, status reports on finishing construction of, acceptance of uncompleted and unaccepted subdivision streets, including Pierpont Estates, Rocky Hill Estates, Country View Estates, Tobin Farm Estates, Lyon Estates, and Sophie's Way. So we already spoke about Country View Estates and Eisenhower Drive. That was the one with the sewer pump issue. Anything else on the other ones, Bill?
On Sophie's Way, I mentioned that Steve Wetruba, the developer, to swap out his covenant for a cash deposit with the town.
Okay,
In order to do that, Jeff Walsh would have to go out and do a completion estimate. He and Steve were going to do that, but then the snow came, so they weren't able to get out to evaluate the existing condition or whatever work needed to be done. So I'm expecting a letter from Graves Engineering within the next week or two about the cost to finish the project. The impetus for this is that under a covenant, you can't get a lot release until the binder pavement is down.
Right.
And it's not possible to do that during the winter time. But if we get a cash deposit to cover the cost of finishing the subdivision, you could then release lots.
Okay.
I thought
At
it was
any
our
time.
bylaw that you had to have binder down before lots were released.
That's usually a condition of the covenant.
There's no covenant.
If you remove the covenant and go with cash instead, then
Right.
you have the ability, I think, to release lots at that point.
Well, I don't know about that, because I tried that before, and they told me no, not until the binder's down.
That might have been with the covenant, though. I'll check just to be sure.
Yep, okay. All right, next one on standard business, we have inspections and actions associated with site plans, Legacy Landing Country Club Acres, SEP Solar, JD&D, Stevens Mill, solar project on the landfill. Any updates on those?
No.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, the Board of Selectmen meeting last Monday, the town administrator did mention that there's been communications with Camden Associates, and apparently everything is pending, depending on which way the interest rates go. I think that's a fair assessment of what he said. And I guess there's been some contact through the town administrator's office with these folks on a somewhat regular basis. I don't know why that information isn't widely disseminated, and the answer that we got was basically only an answer to a question. It was not forthcoming without the question. Again, if interest rates go down, things are looking good. Interest rates stay as they are or go up, all bets are off.
Bill, what's left on that J&D on Oxford Ave? What's left there for work?
I don't know, Tom.
'Cause it looks pretty complete.
He came in about a year ago and promised to wrap it up, but then I haven't seen any work happen on that site for a while.
I think it's paved.
It's
Yeah,
paved.
it is.
I
Yeah.
think it
Is
is,
it
yeah.
paved?
I think it's paved. I think
I thought
every,
it had millings on it, and that was it.
no, I think it got paved.
Did it get paved?
Yeah.
was
Yeah, I don't
wondering
know
what
what
was
the
left
hangup
on
is.
that.
The building is complete, the fence got fixed, there was
Yeah.
there was some fencing problems, they fixed the fencing problems, and I think right after that, they finished paving it, but I haven't seen anything else.
I'll contact him to see.
We can
I
get
know
them
there
off
was
the list.
some catch basins like on the side, and then I had driven by and they were gone, and then I noticed that the paving was in, so I'm figuring they dug up and put the catch basins in and then paved it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if we could get on that,
If it's complete, then I'll have a final inspection done by Graves to
okay.
wrap that up.
And we do know that we extended the solar on Oxford Ave, that we gave them an extension, right?
Yes.
One of our previous
All that's
meetings.
left there is the grass growing, I think,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's been-
Erosion control.
Can we ask if we can get an update on the solar field on the landfill? I mean,
Sure.
It
I
looks
haven't
like it's
got-
pretty close,
I
but,
haven't gotten reports since November, I think, so I'm
Okay.
They're
probably
out
due
there
for a
working
December report.
yesterday.
yeah, so it looks like it's pretty close. All right, next item on our agenda, planner's plate, anything from you, Bill?
I already mentioned the bringing the town website into compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act. I sent you today a notice of the Citizens Planner Training Collaborative Annual Workshop
Workshops, okay.
at Holy Cross on March 16th. So I encourage anybody, on the board to go. There's a lot of good
St.
good
Patrick's
sessions
Day,
there.
that's sacrilege. 17th is St. Patrick's Day.
It's the day before.
16th.
It's a day, I know, but I mean, you gotta prep. You gotta start paying those bills on the 16th, so you can be ready for the 17th.
Your corned beef and
All
cabbage,
right, yeah. Oh, okay.
So that's it.
okay. Can I just ask, was there, I didn't stay for the whole Board of Selectmen meeting on Monday night, was there some resolution to the cul-de-sac for Tan Yard Road
Yeah, I
and the
think so.
intersection?
The resolution was, don't put in a cul-de-sac, but still work on the intersection.
It was
And-
DOA.
And keep it in the $200,000 or less dollar budget?
Right, right.
Okay,
I
all
got
right.
Dave's idea of putting a rotary in there.
but that's not, short of some major earth-shaking Richter scale event, that's not likely to change.
So I think, yeah, they'll try to work with the budget that they have, or at least, not have a great increase over the amount of funds available.
And we need to get this done like this year, right? We've only got the extension to 24.
Correct.
So this needs to be taken care of before the end of,
Right.
yep. So
One
clock's
of the
ticking.
problems, as I recall, is there's $177,000 on the grant, and this project was coming in at between $500,000 and $600,000, and the residents would be, the town would pick up the balance. That was one of the stumbling blocks, aside from the fact that Tanyard Road has historical significance, and that was another major issue. But I'm gonna bring this up again, and it was mentioned again, and it was mentioned by the chair of the Board of Selectmen, is the Shepherd Hill kids run that road. And as they come around that intersection, there's a mounding, if you will, so there's some obstruction as people come into the intersection coming off of Airport Road. Well, I put it very bluntly, actually. I said we didn't give the kids a playground, but can we at least put a sidewalk in front of that building? And if we're gonna put a sidewalk, if we're gonna put a crosswalk, which is one of the things that might, again, not cost a whole lot of money, we could attach the sidewalk to the crosswalk so that people coming through the intersections have someplace to land, as opposed to coming up to a grass hill and then hoping they don't slip slide back into the roadway.
Right.
I don't know what that comes out to in terms of dollars and cents, but I gotta believe it's a lot better than the 500,000 or 600,000 number that we
Yeah.
were looking at. And it's only minimal, but at some point, that sidewalk issue, I think, needs to be addressed, as the one down in Ramshorn needs to be addressed, where it just terminates, then you go around, and then it picks up at the non-sidewalk in front of the cemetery.
Is it, Bill, is it 25 that we're eligible again to go back for the complete street sidewalk application?
Correct.
Yeah, so we got next year, we can apply for another, it's 500,000 now? So we can apply next year.
Right, well, I suspect that both of those, I think they'd be under 500,000 if we did either one or both,
You
potentially.
mean dealing with Ramzon, that could be expensive.
Well, it could be, but I think that, again, is another critical pitch point in terms of putting kids in.
I mean, I think we should, focus on one section at a
Okay.
time rather than splitting it up too much.
All right, don't want to accumulate too many bills.
Right.
Okay, comments from the planning board, any?
I think I mentioned it is budget season,
Okay,
and I believe the planning department budget is up for review on is it the 5th?
I believe it's the 5th,
5th of August.
February.
February, yes, my God, sorry about that.
August.
I was looking for warm weather somewhere, but February, so.
And that's with the joint selectmen
Right,
finance.
I believe you probably have already submitted a budget?
I have not yet, no.
You haven't, okay, all right, so you
I
will
think
be.
it's a continuation of the current budget, for
Okay.
the most part.
Oh, all right.
you didn't
so-
put us all in for $10,000 stipends? Right, yeah, I mean, might as well ask.
Well, Mr. Joseph, our previous selectman, had a phrase, don't ask, what was it? Don't ask, don't get, or something to that effect. If you never ask, you never get, or something to that effect. I'm not quoting him correctly.
At some point in time, you gotta pay your help, right?
Gotta pay the help.
Well, we raised our rates, so we should be better now.
Yeah, we're an enterprise,
Okay, comments from the audience?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I couldn't hear what Mr. Chinaki said. What'd you say about there was a provision you recalled regarding five?
Could you come up to the microphone, Steve?
Yeah. When we were talking about the covenant. What did you say, Tom? I couldn't hear you. I apologize.
No, I just said that the binder has to be down before a lot release can go out.
Right, but I thought that was in the covenant.
That was my thought too, but I'm gonna double check based on Tom's comment. just to
Gotcha.
be
I
sure.
thought he said something about 5 or fewer lots, that's why.
No.
No, okay, my mistake.
All right, other business. Our next regularly scheduled meeting is February 14th. That's Valentine's Day.
I move to cancel.
I may not be here.
Mr. Chairman, just a note, the Board of Selectmen from Dudley and Charlton will be meeting with the school committee on February the 14th. That's a meeting that some of us might find of interest, as I guess that's the point at which they're going to get the number from the schools. and then obviously everything evolves from there. So that's an interesting conflict in terms of not being able to be in two places at once on that date.
Okay. Do we have any vouchers to approve? None?
No.
Okay.
But in Aaron's seriousness, to get back to the 14th per Richards, I would rather be there and hear that firsthand.
Yeah.
What's the board's pleasure?
So there was 5 Wednesdays in January. So that means we're 3 weeks away from the 14th. Normally, it's a 2-week, every other week thing. So if you wanted to move the meeting to, say, February 7th, which is 2 weeks from tonight, we could do that.
I think that better.
Or
I might not be around.
cancel the meeting. I don't have anything on
Yeah, I
anticipated.
honestly don't think I'll be here on the 14th.
You won't be here on
I
the
don't think I'll be here on the 14th. So if we want to, would the board be agreeable to move our next meeting to the 7th?
Well, it sounds like we don't have a choice, because I'm planning on being at the school committee meeting.
School committee meeting?
Richard might be.
Yeah.
You're not
Okay.
here, that means we don't have a quorum. So
Okay,
we can hold a meeting, or we can have the meeting scheduled, but there's not gonna be anybody here for it.
so let's do that. Let's put it on the 7th. We'll just
Okay.
move it to the 7th.
Do we have that much to talk about, that we meet
No.
on the 7th?
No, I don't have anything yet.
Or do we just wait until whatever the next meeting, with the 28th of February then, right?
Well, we could pencil it in and pending, you could,
Well, I was planning on being on the next agenda, wasn't I?
Will you be there? Will you be ready by the 7th?
That's a good question, because it's really up to, the engineer. So, you said, Bill, you spoke to him last, you think he said next week he'd have the letter, or?
Well, weather dependent, once the snow's gone, he can get out.
Right.
It's supposed to rain on Friday and be 50 degrees.
So
Right.
he would be ready for the 7th, I believe, if he can get out.
Okay. All right, so, yeah.
Let's, if you don't have anything for the agenda on the 7th, we'll cancel the meeting altogether, but if you have something, we'll hold it. And you can let us know the 24 hours in advance.
Okay. 48 hours.
48 hours, sorry. Okay, other town notices, none, I'm believing.
So I did just put the reminder down to complete the conflict of interest process. Yeah, you weren't here
I
at
got
the
an
last
email,
meeting.
yeah,
Okay.
I got an email.
And
So
I
I'll-
mentioned this at the last meeting.
I gotta check, I think there's 2 things that need to be done, I think one of them is done, and I have to just do the other one.
Right, so something has to be done every year. 1 year, you need to actually do the training.
Yep.
And, that takes about an hour. And the other year is you need to log on and acknowledge that you've
Right,
read the conflict of interest summary.
but it's all online.
yes.
All
Yeah,
online. So
yeah.
I don't get notices, only the town clerk does.
Okay, I did that acknowledgement thing.
Good.
So who can I verify with that actually?
You
took
don't need to
effect?
do anything.
I mean, okay.
The state takes care of it. You used to have to print it out and bring it
Right,
in here.
no,
but-
no, I
goes
just
to the
wondered
town
if the notice went to the town clerk that I'd
No.
done it, or she has record of it somehow, or.
She
Yeah,
should.
last time I took a picture of it, because I wasn't sure about that.
You can print it out, you can still print it out. I printed them out before I
Yeah,
kept
well.
them, so,
Yeah.
All right, well,
all right. All right, motion to adjourn?
motion to adjourn, Chairman?
We have a motion from Mr. Clark and a second from Mr. Durgan, all in favor?
Aye, thank you.
Unanimous, thank you.
All right.